Guys and girls, welcome back to the channel. I'm back at Into Moto again, and they've had another delivery, so yes, that means I get to play on something new. So yeah, let's see what I'm on today. This is today's bike. Now, I've been on one of these not too long ago. However, when I went on the Morbidelli F125 last time, it was a brand new bike. I had to be really careful with it, so I had to do what I would call a fairly slow initial impressions ride. However, there is now a used one at Into Moto, which means I can open it up. I can do a performance test with it. So yes, I can do a performance test with it. So the plan is I'm going to take this bike out today. I'm going to put it through the 60 mile an hour performance test. Going to see how it compares to all the other bikes. Now, I have done a specs review of this bike, as I've said. So I'll just go over it very quickly, just to remind you, refresh your memory with what this bike is, what it's all about, what sort of power we're dealing with, and then we'll go for a ride. So make sure you stay with me for that. First things first, it's a 125, so it's not particularly heavy. Let's see how easy it is to move it from facing this way to facing this way. Yep, it's like a bad dance, I know, but I'm a bad dancer. So really easy to get off the side stand first of all. It's easy to move around. It doesn't feel like the lightest 125, but as you've seen, it's easy enough for me to move around facing one direction to the other. Full LED lighting, so yes, they illuminate the road very nicely and make you very visible. Same goes at the rear. I actually like those indicators. They've not just gone for a clear lens, it's like a Knight Rider type effect that they've got going on there. I like that. Got the mono shock down there. It only has a side stand, no centre stand with this one. It's got quite a big fuel tank as well, 14 litres, and you can see it accepts both E5 and E10. I do like Morbidelli when it comes to the switchgear. The switchgear actually feels and looks expensive. You can get a lot of the time with what I'm going to call the cheaper end of the market when it comes to bikes, but you can get a lot of cheap looking switchgear. It's just not the case with these. You've got your horn indicators, hazard warning lights, high and low beam, and then there is the flash, and on the right hand side engine start and your engine cut off. But again, they just have a really nice feel to them. They don't feel cheap in the slightest. No fancy TFTs, but it's a fully digital screen. You can see there is a nice big digital speedo. There is the rev counter going from left over to right. There is an engine temperature. There is a fuel gauge. There is a clock. There's trip computers. There's a lot going on that little screen, but it's all nice and visible. So yeah, no issues with that. And you can see there is a bit of reflection, but again, the reflection does not stop you from seeing the screen. So that's one good thing when you've got one of these instead of a cheap TFT screen. This bike has only just landed at Into Moto, so I had to jump on it straight away because I'm expecting it will sell very quickly. And you don't always get an opportunity to do a speed test on a brand new model, and these haven't been out that long. So they haven't even put a price on this yet. That's how quick it is. They've not even had that much of a look into it to work out a used price. What I will say is new bikes are for sale at Into Moto of this type for £2,499. Nearly forgot then. Yeah, 2,499. So they are on the cheaper side of what's available. 125cc. And it is not quite at the limit. We're not quite at 15 horsepower, but it is at 14.5 horsepower, so it's getting there. So I'm really looking forward to a performance test. I want to see how it compares to the likes of the Vojar 125 and of course the more expensive Japanese bikes, because quite a lot of those fall short of the 15 as well. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one to see, can it get to 60, and if it can, how fast it does it. This seat height on this, it's not particularly small. It's got a 795mm seat height, so it's kind of towards the topper end of 125s, I think. Topper end? I meant the top end. You know what I meant. But it's not a short 125 is what I'm getting at. So let me throw my leg over. We'll see how easy it is to get on, given it is slightly taller at the back. Oh, that's easy enough actually. And surprisingly, I'm still flat foot both sides. Yeah, I mean, legs are fairly stretched. I've not got a bend in the knee, but I'm flat foot. And to save you asking, I'm 5'8" with a 29-inch inseam. So compare that with your own stats. Pegs feel nice and central. Yeah, I'm in a slightly sporty position. My back is just leaning forward ever so slightly, but it's not a really brutal extreme one. It's not one that I could see myself having a sore back after hours of riding. Yeah, feels quite comfortable. But easy to get on and off. That's the walk round done. I'm going to get my kit. We're going to take it for a ride. Now, as I've said, I've already been on one of these before, but it was an initial impressions ride. I did a local ride, and it was a nice bike to ride. I didn't have a lot to complain about this bike. However, now I can open it up, I can check what the performance is like, I can see, can it get to 60 mile an hour, how quickly it gets to 60 mile an hour. Let's find out. Now, it's been a while since I've been on one of these, and what I've noticed straight away, now I've got both feet up, is it's a very sporty position. I didn't think it was when I just put the one foot up when I was just showing you the seat height, but I do feel like my legs are a little bit scrunched. They feel a little bit scrunched up, so that might be something to think about if you are a taller rider. If you've got longer legs and you're considering one of these bikes, then yes, you might need to have a little think about it. I need to do some sneaking here. I think the traffic is horrendous today. Get past the lorry anyway, that's a big help. Yeah, it is. It's a lot sportier than I first thought it was going to be. Much sportier. I do like the screen though. I do think that the screen is really nice and visible. The actual speedo itself looks massive from here. So that's the important one. That and the fuel gauge, I would say. There's the things that I really, well, you really need to see them. Exhaust note on this is alright actually, it sounds quite nice. Oh, it does feel a bit feisty. I'm going to give it that little bit of credit actually. That 14.5 horsepower in this bike does seem quite nippy indeed. This roundabout, let's see. Again, we're not on new rubber anymore, so I'm not quite as afraid on the bends. The tyres have been run in on this bike. I'm at my performance place, 60 mile an hour road. This is the speed limit. I'm going to try and get to the maximum speed limit of 60 in as quick a time as I possibly can, and then I can compare it to other bikes that I've took down this route. I just need to wait for an appropriate gap, because as you know, round here, national speed limit roads, I was held up to 50 mile an hour by the cars in front, so I want a big enough gap so I can actually achieve the 60 mile an hour speed that I'm going for. Okay, there's a big gap behind me, let's go. So the first 3 gears actually seem to run out quite quickly. They get to the maximum speed quickly. Okay, now that got to 60 mile an hour, where the good performing bikes get to 60 mile an hour, and it's still pulling. I've had to actually ease off, and it does feel like it's at 60 mile an hour as well, where some bikes they can indicate 60 and it feels like they're doing slower than that. This, no, this actually feels like it's doing 60 mile an hour. I feel like I'm going that quick. I'm actually blown away by that. Getting to 60 mile an hour before the bend. And it is actually still pulling. I've got no doubt this would indicate 70 mile an hour. No doubts at all. Now, one thing I want to check, it's showing 37 now, and that's showing 36, so that's actually pretty good. You know, the indicated speed on this is very close to the radar speed detection thing that's up at the side of the road, so that actually means that this will do 60 and beyond, and it will do it quite quickly. Now, it wasn't the fastest 125 I've been on. It wasn't. It didn't get to 60 mile an hour in the same speed or the same vigor, I'm going to say, as the Suzuki GSX-R. It wasn't quite as quick as that bike. However, you know, for me, if they get to 60 mile an hour before that long left bend, that is the indication that they are with the good performers. And I mean, I've been on quite a lot of sporty 125s that's the benchmark for them, and some of them don't achieve it. They usually get it on the straight. In fact, most 125s get it on the straight after the bend, and it's only the really good ones that get it before that bend, and this did it right on the bend, which is a credit to this bike at a brand new price of £2,500 to get to 60 mile an hour. I mean, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I mean, I'm going back probably a year or so, but when I first started doing this test, and I did it on the Vosges R125, which was the best performing, I'm going to say, budget type bike, that got to, it was about 59 mile an hour by that bend. So this surpassed that. It got to 60 indicated. Even the Yamaha MT125, that got to 58. That was like 1 mile an hour behind the Vosges R125. So that, based on what I've just done, this is a better performing bike to 60 mile an hour than the Yamaha MT125. And that is absolutely groundbreaking, considering this bike is around half the price of a Yamaha MT125. And the Yamaha MT125, I'm not calling it, it's not a slouch, it's one of my my favourite 125s. It is. I've got a big list of favourites, yes I have, but it's certainly on that list. So to even be talking about this bike in the same breath as a bike that costs double the price, yeah, credit where it's due, and it's due some. Actually really impressed with that. Now, it's a 125, so as far as filtering goes, filtering is easy on 125s because they're not particularly big. However, when you get behind trucks and wagons or vans that try and move over to stop you from going, yeah, it doesn't matter whether you're on a 125 or whether you're on a big bike, it's just too dangerous to do, so don't do it. Do it when it's safe. I don't know why some car drivers do it. They do it on the motorway all the time. You kind of see the gap and it's there, and they see you coming and they try and close the gap to stop you from doing it. And in the UK it's legal to do it, and it's like they're just jealous that they're stuck in traffic and they want you to be stuck in traffic with them. You can sneak past it because you're on a motorcycle, and it's the benefits of a motorcycle. Because don't forget, when it rains we get absolutely peed wet through, don't we? That's the downside of a motorcycle. And in the winter we get bloody frozen because it's really cold, so we've got to have some benefits of being on two wheels, especially during the winter. I don't know where she's going, I don't know where he's going. I just need to get away from them. Town centre riding is always, hey, well, you have a couple of hairy moments. You've got to watch out for the nut jobs, don't you? The people who are out there to get us. There's always one. In fact, no, there's always considerably more than one, unfortunately. Yeah, got to watch out for them. This is certainly in the good performers list. It is. It is. There's a lot of bikes that cost a lot of money that this bike, I am confident it would absolutely destroy them in any sort of standing start race. I'd be more than happy to compete with them on this. Certainly up to 6, well actually I'd probably say up to 70, or indicated 70, because this just kept pushing and pushing. Switch gear as well on the move, it's just, it's a delight. I went on a more expensive bike the other day and the switchgear didn't feel anywhere near as good as that. Like when you've got these big thick gloves on, sometimes even just indicating it feels a bit like naff on your thumb, or you can't feel it, or you certainly don't know whether you put your indicator on or turned it off, and you just don't have that with this. Everything just seems to work exactly as it should. And again, I keep going on about the price, but it is a massive thing for me that, you know, you can be on a bike that is £4,000, £5,000 and it not perform as well as a bike that costs considerably less. Like this is a cheap motorcycle, there's no doubt about it. It's cheaper than, you know, one of my favourites, which is opposite, which is the Vosjar 125, and performance wise, yeah, they're very, very similar, and I love that because it's a cheap bike and this is cheaper. So, you know, you've got to kind of throw it into the mix and put it in the same bracket as that Vosge. This is a really nice bike to ride, and it's just absolutely smashed out the park on the performance test. So yeah, amazing, really good value for money. If you're interested, Intumoto sell these brand new. That's gonna do me. I'll put a link in the description for Intumoto should you be interested in one of these, or just you're looking for a new bike. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. Laters. YouTube. Oh yeah. He's a killer. That's right.